Newsfirst, NewsLine with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studio in Dawson Street in Colombo. And of course broadcasting on TV1, a proud member of the Capital Maharaja Group. And this morning, as usual, every month we do this. We do things slightly different. So, we're going to have... we're going to introduce ourselves, aren't we? So it's a jolly good morning from...
Bandula, Jayasekara.
And it's a jolly good morning from Faraz, Shauketaly. Bandula, wonderful morning.
Definitely, wonderful morning.
And there's so much of hope, isn't there? There's hope
definitely, so much of hope because it's in the papers that the dear Prime Minister is going to launch his biography.
That's right.
Next
and
week.
Shashi Tharoor, the MP from India, is going to... be his chief speaker.
Yeah, we should go and see Shashi Tharoor.
We'll go and see Shashi Tharoor.
And also the launch of the
Well,
biography.
that's just by the way, isn't it? But, Bandula, I want you to, let's get a bit serious this morning. And,
Isn't the Prime Minister serious?
Well, I don't know, because we've got a card of what the Prime Minister said on the 17th of March in 2015. That's just over 2 years ago. Let's have a look. Look, this is what he says. And it's a very important statement because what the Prime Minister is saying is he made this statement on the 17th of March 2015. But on that day in Parliament, he says that he appointed the three-member committee on the 27th of February 2015 to look into the bond matter. Well, isn't it astonishing? The bond had only just been issued, and the Prime Minister knew something was wrong.
And also we had lawyers, Faraz, saying that these, questioning the, I would say, sincerity of the three lawyers, the committee members, and they were also part of the Executive Committee of the United National Party.
That's right, that's right. And you see, what is strange, Bandula, is that the Prime Minister says on the 17th of March that he appointed the committee on the 27th of February. So, what did this committee do? How did the Prime Minister know that something was amiss on the 27th of February? That was the day the bond was issued. You know, it's all a little bit conflicting.
No, because he's quick, he's fast-tracked the whole process.
Really?
Very efficient.
It's over 2 years.
Yeah, that's why he appointed that committee.
Well, and that committee got it, well, they said that there was nothing wrong. But we've had... evidence to the contrary, or it appears to the contrary anyway. Two COPE committees met, and of course all these people gave evidence under oath. They came there, these professionals from the central bank came there, and on the first occasion, of course, Mr. Mahendran was still the governor. So, you know, when your boss is standing over and you're asked to make a statement, you say it, but you're not able to say it openly, which is why when in any organization, if somebody is interdicted or is the center of an allegation, you stand aside to permit a free inquiry. And the information coming out from the Presidential Commission of Inquiry is absolutely astonishing.
But for us, why is it now? See, you have like two different standards or separate standards with the others, and then here, why are they protecting them?
Well, that's
you have a commission, but still they move on. You know, there's so many new developments. We are talking of distilleries. We are talking of some publishing houses.
That's right. The thing is, you see, Bandula, we've had Arjuna Mahendran consistently telling the world, and Sri Lanka specifically, that he wasn't ever at the dealing in the auction area. Well, we've had evidence after evidence, witness after witness from the central bank who comes there and says under oath that Mr. Mahendran was very much there. He burst into a meeting where ordinarily the governor wouldn't attend. The deputy governor said yesterday that they took up the 1 billion to 10 billion because of Mr. Mahendran's instructions. So, you know, there was this, and he transferred 501 people in 17 months.
That must be a world record.
It must be, because Mr. Cabral was there for 9 years, and somebody worked it all out and said that he'd transferred something like, it was only, I don't know, less than 50. So that's a lot. 501 transfers. You know, we're going to have to get our producer to double check that figure because it sounds so huge. But we've had a reporter, Zulfik Farzan, covering the proceedings every day, and he did write it down. It was 501. But it's astonishing. And you mentioned the tax concessions, or you mentioned the distillery in the east. Now, Bandula, our governments, successive governments, not only this unity government, and not only Mr. Rajapaksa, every government has always made, it's almost an ideology. They tax heavily the tobacco and the alcohol industry. So then why give them a concession to open up a distillery in the east? I think that...
But these are friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits. Now that's a good term. Friends with benefits. There is almost as though, you know, we all know about who has Asperger's syndrome, but somebody said this morning, compulsing lying disorder. I think half our elected, more than half our legislators suffer from this compulsive lying disorder.
And the spokespersons.
Yes, and the spokespersons. They just say what they have to, or what they're told to. But isn't it all very odd? And then what about, have you heard the latest developments or the latest proposal in the draft income tax? If they assess you right now, and if they send you an assessment, you can go back and say, look, I don't agree with that, and let's discuss it. So you have a right of appeal kind of thing. Well, under the new ones, they're going to take away that right. So if the assessor decides that you're going to have to pay X, well, Mr. Jayasekara, you better get your checkbook out, because that's what you're going to have to pay.
So, I mean, no wonder we have the world's best finance minister.
Well, the world's best finance minister. I wonder, honestly, who gives these things out?
We wouldn't know, but then he...
Is it linked to advertising?
London.
Do you think it's linked to advertising?
Maybe, and then, these things happen.
Of course they do. Because you find very odd airlines, suddenly, you know, they'll say, we are the best airline in this region or in wherever. But I'm sure it's got to do with advertising.
And yeah, magazines and all that. So like I think we were discussing once for us that we also should have the NewsLine award system.
We must have the
compulsive lie.
Yes. So when shall we do this? When shall we do it?
June.
June?
Mid-year.
Right. Well, let's do it. The first program in June, we'll have the NewsLine Lying Awards, shall we?
Yeah, the award ceremony.
Sorry. Good. Now then, what did you make out of this? I know you look at the internet quite often, but there's a report there that says that a Chinese company that has been awarded a contract to build the extension of the Southern Highway from Matara to Hambantota had wanted to import a luxury Mercedes-Benz. Well, Mercedes-Benz is luxury anyway. All right? And the Ministry of Highways, the secretary there, writes to the Ministry of Finance and asks for a concession on the basis of the value of that project. Well, guess what? Our dear finance minister sends off
the award-winning finance.
The award-winning, the best finance minister in all that business, okay? And he's only a one-third finance minister. You know that, don't you? It's only one-third because they're split. All right? He writes back to the Secretary of the Highways and confirms that they're giving him, the applicant, a full duty waiver. I don't mean only duty. NBT, cess and everything is waived off on the basis of some mega project value.
But aren't we paying the government? They are not doing it free. We are paying them.
I'm so glad you got the point, because it is not. They are not investors. They are contractors.
They don't come under BOI, right? So there you get concessions.
You see, the point is, So anyway, now this is given, and the car is being used. But I'm going to give you a special prize if you guess who is using the car. According to the web report.
So somebody from the ministry or a minister.
Yes, that's right. A minister is...
Who is the minister?
Well, it's apparently the minister in charge of highways.
And education.
Yes.
And higher education.
And higher education. Do you know, it's very odd, but that's what the web says. But of course we are looking into it.
Yeah, we need to check.
We're checking into it. So when we check, and I'm sure our investigative man, particular, will be looking at this closely, and we shall report back. But it is very odd.
And then shouldn't they give us a concession or the reduced price, and then you just give any contractor?
Like they're not investors. They've won a contract. They come in here. They've got their own staff, and they subcontract out work, and those subcontractors employ Sri Lankan people, hopefully, and so on. But it is different from an investor who would come to this country, set up a factory, bring in equipment, train our people, employ our people, and then if you are to give a concession, that's fine.
But for us, what's happening is these people are carrying on regardlessly. So masses, people should unite and do something for this. This is what is important.
And it is so important, Bandula, what you're saying, because if you recall the last speech, the farewell speech by President Barack Obama, in which he reminds the people that the Constitution is merely a piece of paper, and it will only come to life if the people become activated. And as Captain El Mujawatna said when he was on our program, he said that people must get out of their do-nothing seat and do something. What is the something that they can do? What do you think?
People should start putting pressure. People should start questioning, like in other countries, emails, letters, telephone calls. We should keep the pressure. You don't have to wait till the next 5 years to outvote them or bring whoever. So that's important.
Absolutely. People got to use these things and send, even if it's an SMS. But then some people will say, well, I don't know the number of the minister. I think we should start a website. I think I'll start a website. It'll give all the contact numbers of ministers, of all the cabinet ministers, the deputies, the state ministers, and so that people can send them SMSs. What do you think?
That's a good idea, and it's very important for people in Colombo to do that. You and I have had experience going for, I think, one of the Rotary meetings.
Yes, that's
so these people, they ask questions, but they can put pressure. But how these people welcome all these ministers and all garland them? No, you should question them at these forums.
That's right.
And give them prominence. You welcome them, so they forget that. They all want to be photographed with the minister, the prime minister, whoever. That should change.
I went for one of these Rotary meetings last week. It's funny you should say that, actually. And the guest speaker was a former governor of the central bank. No, it wasn't Arjuna Mahendran. It was somebody called Ajit Nivad Cabral. And somebody asked him the various questions, and they asked about what happened to the reserves of dollars. And apparently the way he explained it, they've been putting the dollars into the market from the reserves because there's a lack of dollars. The lack of dollars appears, one of the reasons is that foreign investment in our capital market and so on is actually going out now. I wouldn't be surprised. Would you invest money where the tax rules are changed from time to time, almost arbitrarily? Some of them are retrospective. Do you remember the retrospective taxes when the best finance minister became the finance minister initially? The super gains tax, 25% or something of companies over 2 billion of profits. Well, and then they had that mansion tax. What kind of absolute tosh is this? They said that some of these monies were ill-gotten wealth. What do you mean? These are big companies who have paid their taxes and who distributed their profits and who employ thousands of people. And they've had to stand there silently like lambs and write out the check to the exchequer.
And also very interesting, the Daily Mirror, looking at the Daily Mirror says, the Prime Minister says, disregard those who criticize open economy. What's this?
I mean, the Prime Minister's own chairman of the IPS, Dr. Azim Salih, he was very critical about various things that this government has taken. He in fact said that he named a couple of people, and I think one of them was Mr. Eran Wickramaratne. Dr. Salih, chairman of the IPS no less, was saying that Mr. Wickramaratne had been overlooked. Goodness me, this is the chairman of the Institute of Policy Studies. I mean, so that within this team, people are criticizing.
No, it's good to criticize, it's good to be open, but they should not think the people are suckers. That has to change.
And also, don't you think that they should stop blaming the other side the whole time?
Yes, because they were punished, they were defeated, it's over. Now you took over, you have to wear.
And have you noticed another thing? Our very, very dear Foreign Minister, Mangala Samaravira, do you know, he said some months ago that the Rajapaksas had spirited away $18 billion. It's 2 years that since these people came into power, right? Where's the proof? You can't be making statements like that, because, you know, it's good, cheap propaganda, but, you know, the bigger message is that the international community is watching what you're saying. They're saying all sorts of jolly things, and they can't prove it. And now, nearly 2 years after, just about maybe 2 weeks ago, we have the same foreign minister who admits that although there has been corruption and so on, he had to admit that they couldn't prove anything to be in the name of that former president. Well, then why say it then?
Yeah, but my point is that, you know, they're all the same. This is politicians, they have a club, they belong, they're friends,
and about
they are taking people.
And what about this Veeravansa chappie? You know, he's been remanded, and because he wants to get bail and so on, he's gone on a hunger strike. So will all these chaps who are in remand for whatever offence and, you know, awaiting trial, do you think that they will all go on a hunger strike to get bail?
But as it has become a joke, I know, in some people I don't think we should even discuss, because they are a bunch of jokers.
Actually, Honorable Bandaranaike was quoted as saying that he didn't want to be part of this circus of clowns. Well, he appeared to have excluded himself, but, you know, it's always stuck with me what he said, a circus of clowns. I'm sure the people feel that way. What do people say in Kurunagala when you talk to the ordinary masses?
I mean, they're fed up. See, they have no choice. They are helpless. I mean, then and now they're helpless. So they have their day-to-day issues. So people want answers. I mean, we don't have to bring about this always, but you know what, our own project, Gammat, they know that they don't have the basics. The
That's
water,
right.
Transport.
They don't have the basics. Do you remember that place we went to in Batiklo?
Kalavanchikudi. Yeah.
Kalavanchikudi. Wasn't it sad, Bandula, when we sat there in the middle of the paddy field, and you did Patikera, and I did Newsline along with you that day. Do you remember those people? They came there in the hot burning sun, and they felt, you know, look, this team have come here, perhaps we can help them.
And they said for us that they didn't have help after D.S. Senayaka.
That's right. That's
so many years ago.
Yes. And it's so sad, isn't it? I met that girl. There was that girl, I think she was an O-level student, and they were living in a sort of hut. And she said that at least twice a year they're subject to flooding. So I asked her where she kept her books, and she pointed at the ceiling, and there it was all tucked up there, because in case it flooded, it was easy to quickly take it away and go with the books.
And our ministers and MPs, they go overseas, they want to, you know, alleviate poverty, they have conferences, and they do nothing. This has to be stopped.
And there are claims that the former governor of the central bank spent 12 million rupees on his official card, but for personal expenses.
And also now see we don't have the island, but island page 1, and I think we reported it yesterday extensively on our news bulletin about this school building collapsing on children. the roof. So what are they doing about that? What happened to those monies? So yesterday, we reported it yesterday. And today's papers are also saying that. Who is responsible?
But there's one thing we must grant. There's one thing we must grant. And that is that we are more open. We are able to be more open. Not, I don't mean news first, because we've been open from the dot, right? There's nothing to stop us. And thankfully, we've got a good publisher who's committed to this sort of thing, and who's not afraid. And is not afraid because the group is independent. They're not subject to the vagaries of having to go beholden to the government for whatever, let's say advertising or whatever. You know, sometimes I'd like to interview our sales manager and ask him what impact our news reporting has on his ability to collect advertising, because it's completely separate. We don't care. We're not involved in that.
Well, I'm sorry to say that most of the other organizations, they can't do that.
They can't do it. They
can't
do it because it will be commercially suicidal to them, and because that is the new type of white van. We used to have white van syndrome before, but now you have the will control you economically syndrome, where money talks. You know, the last time we mentioned something about the national airline, I did, I was told that a small advertising contract suddenly disappeared. So what? The point is,
those are also threats and intimidation.
Of course it is. And under the right to information, I know a journalist who has written to the Ministry of Finance asking for full disclosure on all the advertising that they have put out, a breakdown, and the public.
Did the journalists get a reply?
No, but they were still within the 2 weeks, so we'll wait and see. But I wrote to the Commission of Elections for a list of people who are elected at whichever fora, provincial council, parliament, wherever, but elected officials who have not supplied the asset declaration.
And we also should write to people about now, see, these MPs and ministers, they attend development conferences, all that. What have they received? What benefit do we get? Are they making proposals? These are all just jaunts and trips. They should give a report and say, look, okay, we can improve this. Are they doing that? No.
That's right. They should become more accountable. But being accountable, Bandula, do you think it's a pipe dream? Do you think you, I, and the rest of our wonderful team at News First, in your case, Sirasa, do you think we're wasting our time?
No, we should never give up. I mean,
we shouldn't give up.
Because the people have pinned hopes on us, the media, because we are playing the role of the government as well as opposition, I mean, if we talk of government. So we cannot let down the masses. We can't let our viewers down. However it hurts, we have to continue, no matter what.
And I'll tell you, I became privy to some other information, which we will report on more in the next few days, or maybe give us a fortnight.
Where are your files? You used to have lots of files.
Oh no, I'm working on them. We've got different files. But one such file is a sort of suggestion from the Minister of Law and Order, who's a prime ministerial confidant, Sagala Ratnayaka. Lovely man that he is, but he's written a cabinet paper in which he proposes that the investigations being done by the FCID be handed over to the National Procurement Commission, now that the National Procurement Commission is on. Well,
and what will happen to the FCID?
Well, no, the point is, Bandula, this National Procurement Commission came in after the 19th Amendment, okay? So just before that, we had the FCID. Now, why should you backtrack? It's fine, right? National Procurement Commission is there. They can act from the day that they come into life, not retrospectively. And now that indicates to me that there is a real attempt to lessen the importance and the work of the FCID. It's like tying one of their hands behind their back. As it is, there are charges that the FCID chief is being pulled by one year by one party and the other year from the other party.
But also for us, FCID should investigate people in power. That's also is important.
Of course it is.
Is it happening?
Of course it is. Of course.
That's, people who are in power, people who crossed over.
They should do that indeed. And, but Bandula, do you detect any commitment on any of these politicians' part to actually deliver upon the promises that they made the people?
No, what we see is, okay, he said that, she said that, he said that, that's all. People are not interested in rhetoric. Exactly. They want action. What are the policies?
Exactly.
What have you implemented? We should write to all the ministers and say, okay, during this year, what projects have you implemented? How much have you spent?
Good idea.
We should push on those.
And, let me say this. If you want to write to a minister or to a member of parliament, and if you have no idea of, if you want to send an SMS, if you don't have the number, call me, I'll give you the number. 0772 300 305. And just send me an SMS with the name of the person, the politician that you want to SMS. I'll be happy to supply the number.
But there also, it's a big joke. They are the MSD, the security, they will answer. Yeah. And they will not respond. That's why I have telephones.
But
right. In other countries, even the prime ministers reply.
Yes.
They respond to their constituencies. They do that.
But I must tell you that the minister in charge of, prison rehabilitation, I think.
Yeah. Mr. Swaminathan.
Mr. Swaminathan. I called him, I think about 3 weeks ago. I was pleasantly surprised he answered the phone himself. And actually he got one of his aides to call back afterwards, keeping in line with whatever it is he said. Now
that's good.
That's very good. And I'd like to say that I'd like to give him a small title. We'll call him Saint Swami, shall we?
Why?
Because he answered the phone. He's rather a saint. Because the others don't.
No, that's too much.
Is it too
saint,
much? All right, we'll disregard that one. But it is encouraging that some people do this. Yeah. But it is very depressing that most don't. Have you tried dialing the Prime Minister?
No, I haven't. Maybe we should try.
Nor have I, but perhaps we ought to try.
We could even wish him on his birthday. You were not here.
I wasn't here, but but I want to say this, that if the Prime Minister doesn't look sharp and doesn't listen to what the people are saying, then his next birthday might well be spent in Fifth Lane.
Anyway, he's down Fifth Lane. He has moved residences.
Or he may spend his next birthday on the backbenches in the opposition. And he's fully used to that.
He will survive. He has lots of patience for us.
If our producer is listening, when you said he will survive, she ought to have played that song, isn't it? I Will Survive. Who sang that? Do you know? Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah. You know it. And then, but some people don't learn, they don't depart.
They don't learn, they don't depart.
Even though their schools, the motto is such, I don't know, I can't pronounce the Latin word, but they don't learn, they don't depart.
On that note, Bandula, it's time for us to say goodbye to our viewers, and hello to all those viewers who follow us on the internet and on Facebook and so on, and time to wish them all a lovely weekend. It's not all depressing, and I'm sure there are many things happening around.
We have Platinum Awards today.
We have Platinum Awards, that's right.
Recognizing the sportsmen and
that's
women.
Right. And so there is, it's not all doom and gloom.
There's some hope.
There is some hope, but do keep your eye on the ball because there's a lot of corruption going on. And there's a lot of cricket too. On that note, it's goodbye from me and
Bandula Jayasekara.
Thank you very much. Take care, have a great weekend, and God bless.